All right, let's go. We got a legend in the building today. Matt Fields, what's up, baby?
How are you guys?
I'm doing good. Those of you who don't know, professional Formula Drift driver.
Yeah, a little bit different. Probably not what you guys are used to seeing over here on this side of the wall.
Yeah. And he used to play paintball.
Yeah.
And you're in Long Beach. Tell everyone why you're in Long Beach right now. And it worked out so perfect that you're able to stop by. So thank you so much for cruising by.
Yeah, absolutely. So
We're always talking.
I know.
I never get to meet you, bro.
I know.
So
I know.
nice to meet you.
It's good. But I feel like we click. We get it. We see eye to eye on a lot of
right
things.
away,
for
dude.
sure.
You're sick, dude. I really.
But I'm here for my first race of the season. 2024 Formula Drift season starts this weekend. We got into town Monday, and yesterday, Tuesday, was media day. So we give ride-alongs, the news comes out and films pieces on us, and we have a press conference, and it's just about kind of kicking off the season, showing the new liveries of the car, the new team gear. You know, everyone gets to see everything for the first time.
Yep.
A lot of stuff is like shipped to the hotel the night before, like my helmet. I got my helmet Tuesday morning, waited for it at the hotel, got it in my hand, and ran to my car, went and hopped in and did some laps. So it's like stuff comes down to the wire here, but it's Long Beach, baby. It's the start of the season. That's just kind of how it goes.
Hell yeah, that's like us in paintball. We'll go to these big events like the NXL, the big pro events. Like, oh my god, we forgot like half the inventory.
Yeah.
Send it over. Next
The hotel
day,
hates you.
Oh,
The hotels
dude,
hate you.
boxes
Yeah.
piled up. Sounds about the same.
Same, no matter what. And dude, I do my due diligence. I have my checklist. I've been doing it for 12 years now, and you still are like, man, we need more zip ties. Just overnight it to the
Always
hotel,
forget
you know?
something.
Yeah.
Same with us. We've been doing this since like basically we were 14. 2007 started the company, but
Is that when you started the company? That's
2007 it became like official. But
Right.
we were playing paintball way before that. But
That is
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started my business when I was 18 years old.
18?
Like, yeah, actual business license and with the city and everything. And
Sick.
so, yeah, Drift Cave Motorsports is my actual business. The racing side of things is half the business. And then working on customer cars, fabrication, having a shop space, and kind of paying the bills that way is the other half of the business.
So is Drift Cave where you work on the cars? Is that what Drift Cave is?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate that Drift Cave, there's 3 full-time employees plus my business partner, and that kind of takes care of itself. That pays the bills for the boys, that keeps the lights on, that gives us a place to work on things. And then the motorsport side of things is the big rig, the car, the racing customers, and I get to keep all that at Drift Cave. Luckily, Drift Cave kind of takes care of itself, and then the cross promotion with the marketing and the write-offs kind of help balance it all out.
We rocking and rolling, boys. So what kind of cars would you be working on at Drift Cave? Like anyone can bring a car? Or it's like high end, like cool, like modification type stuff.
Right. We won't do oil changes or brakes.
Yeah, right?
That's not us. But we do mostly fabrication on race cars. Doesn't matter.
It's race car stuff, yeah.
We like drift cars because that's what we know.
Yeah.
So if anybody has anything wants to bring us a drift car, like we know everything start to finish, top to bottom. Race car stuff is a little bit more niche, right? And those guys are like, I want a roll cage welded in, or I want my coilovers installed, or I need a corner balance, these kind of specific things.
Yeah.
But drift cars are our bread and butter, and
Yeah.
fabrication's like probably the number one thing that we like to push.
Sick. So like right now when you're at a race in Long Beach, are all your mechanics with you here? And like no one's at the Drift Cave?
It's a little bit difficult. So I have one full-time guy, Alec. He's my right-hand man. He goes everywhere with me. Doesn't matter what it is or where we're going, like he's there with me.
Sick.
And he's responsible for my cars. And it used to be just one. And then then I have my race car and my demo car. Yeah. And then I'm building a new car. So it's like we're juggling all these cars and the big rigs and the trucks and everything.
Yeah.
And then my business partner is also my spotter. I am this guy. He tells me what to do, get closer here, be more aggressive, less aggressive. And then we have 3 guys back at the shop who are just the shop guys.
Sick.
And then we'll bring in 2 or 3 guys that are just like arrive to the track and just be like the motorsports guys.
Yeah.
That usually they'll have their own life, their own jobs back home, their own businesses, something, but they'll come to go racing with.
That's cool. That's really cool. So like the crossover between drift and paintball, it's just like I feel like I've seen so many of the paintball players, like when you're commenting on our post, they're like,
Crazy,
"What?"
right?
They're like, Matt Fields here, what? Like, 'cause it's like paintball is like a high action sport, adrenaline sport where you're just, it's a lot of like kind of like drifting, I would have to say. So like the same people who are like loving to go play paintball, that adrenaline rush, are gonna go watch you in a 1,000 horsepower Corvette drifting around corners because it's just exciting. So it's just stoked to get you here because I feel like there's good synergy right here between the two customers.
Every time that I would comment on anything, because obviously, like I like the stuff that you guys are doing. You guys are producing cool, high quality content that is original in the paintball space. So it didn't go unnoticed with me. I was like, these guys, like the vibe, the energy is right. I see eye to eye. So every time I comment or share some stuff, I couldn't believe how many people, like more people engage on what I'm commenting on your stuff than maybe like a racing thing that I do or a fellow driver's thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of crossover.
Yeah, 100%. So for the players that don't know, can you give us a rundown? And me too. I know Jeremy here knows all about everything you do, but like, so kind of like how did you get into drifting? And then from there, I guess we'll figure out like what's in your car and what's all that about. But yeah, how'd you get into drifting?
So one of my older friends, actually the guy who got me involved in paintballing too.
Yeah.
He told me one day, he's like, hey, we were skateboarding. Skateboarding was my whole life. That was
you skated too?
Yeah, that was my whole life.
This guy here.
Yeah. I was like, I wouldn't say that I was good enough to be going pro, but that was my focus. I was like, I just want to skateboard. That's the only thing I care about. I skate every single day. I'm getting better and better. And we were skating at a parking lot, and my friend, Ton, he was just like, hey, my buddy's going to come and drift in this parking lot. And I was like, whatever that is. Cool, dude. Whatever.
Yeah.
And skating around, and our buddy shows up in a red S13 coupe. And that's like the drift car, you know? And back then I had no idea. I was like, it's just some Nissan, whatever. Cool.
Is that, look, I'm not that good. Is that the Skyline? Is that?
So it's like
So
you have Skyline and 240SX.
Yeah, 240SX.
Yeah, so it was a 240SX.
Okay,
exactly.
I know that.
So he showed up in that and did some donuts and some figure eights around the parking curbs.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was like, that's the craziest shit I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Ever. And I had been to San Jose Grand Prix when they had a little bit, some small drift demos there. And I got to see a little bit. And I was so young that it didn't really register how crazy it was. But I saw drifting before. But when I saw it happen in front of my face, I was like, whoa. Yeah. This is something special. And I went home, got on YouTube, and this is the early days of YouTube where there's like 300 videos, 2 drifting videos only.
Nothing on there.
Nothing else, right? And I watched those same 1 or 2 drift videos on repeat over and over. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. I'm going to buy myself something. And I bought instead of buying a 240SX, I bought a 300ZX. Mistake.
Yeah.
But not a good drift car. Not a good drift car. But it looked cool. Sorry, excuse me.
They do look good.
They look cool.
I had some friends with those. Jay upstairs had one.
Yeah, like they're a cool looking car. Yeah. And I drove that for a while, got rid of that, got a 240SX, and kind of just never looked back. And it was one of those things where I found myself good at it kind of right away because I used to race quarter midgets, and my dad does off-road racing. So I kind of,
like
I've been driving.
Right. Yeah,
I've been driving. Yeah. And I'm very fortunate. Like my family's been into racing. It's my dad's thing. He grew up working on cars and racing and everything.
That makes more sense now. That's
right. I didn't find it on my own, but drifting was a totally separate thing than anything my dad had done before.
Right.
But when I started getting into it, they gave me support. They're like, as long as you do it on the racetrack, we love this.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then fast forward, I started when I was 16, 34 now. So I've been drifting for a long freaking time.
Yeah.
But time goes fast, man.
Sick. That's insane. What all I remember, because I'm not like the car expert, but like some kids at my school had like a right-hand drive, 240SX, like Japanese something.
Probably like Sylvia, and they were probably the coolest kids on the block, right?
About. It's like he's on the other side.
Yeah.
Shifting with his left.
How does he go through the drive-through?
I don't know if that was like, those are just like harder to get or something because it's like the Japanese version or something. Is that what it is? Or
yeah, and nothing ever came right-hand drive over here. Yeah. So people were either converting it, which is a lot of work, and like hats off to them. Yeah, that means that they are very mechanically inclined, or they had a friend who imported it for them or something like that.
Yeah, I just remember that.
Down in Southern California, though, the importing of Japanese cars is like everywhere. You see a ton of cool right-hand drive Japanese cars. Up in Northern California, not so much.
Not so much?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like a crew of kids by my school that always had one or two of them was always on the other side. Like, what the hell, that thing's sick.
Yeah. You thought, didn't even matter what the car was. It was just cool,
I don't know what the hell it was, but it was dope.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, so now, fast forward to today, you have this insane Corvette.
Yeah.
And so what's like, do they give you the Corvette or you buy the Corvette or like, how's all this working? Like what's in there? Is this thing like, to me, I don't know. It sounds insane. So is that like 1,000 horsepower in there? What do we got? What are we working with under the hood?
All right. So we decided when my competition 240SX was kind of a little bit tired, a little bit old, I needed to build a new car. It had been crashed a bunch. It was just time to move on.
Yeah.
We were deciding what we were going to do. And one of my suspension partners, Part Shop Max, was like, let's do something new, something that no one has ever done. And we've been big V8 guys. Like we put Corvette engines, LS, in pretty much everything. Everything that you could. BMWs would get them. Nissans would get them. Yeah, Toyotas would get LSs. That's kind of what we specialize in at the shop, and that's the engine that I like. So they're like, instead of starting with the car that didn't have that engine, let's start with the car that did have that engine. And like, let's see what our options are. I was like, Camaro, not really for me. Corvette, I don't know if I'm not old enough for a Corvette, right? Like that was the thought in our head. Then I started looking into it. I'm like, no, this car just makes sense. It's an actual sports car versus getting like an economy car and then making it into a sports car. And once we went down that route, I just kind of went down the rabbit hole and doing research and we decided to pull the trigger on it, and it honestly transformed my career because instead of just being another guy with another Nissan 240SX with a V8, I was like the guy who's building a Corvette.
Yeah.
And we did this big build series with Donut Media where I filmed every single thing that I did, every single thing. It was like 6 or 8 months of my life that I filmed every single day. And that was before all these build posts, and I was not a YouTube vlog guy. I worked out a deal with Donut, and that was like rocket launched us into the next step. We had partners reaching out just because the car that we were building and the hype that was behind it. No one had done it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was people drifting Corvettes, sure, but nothing to this scale. Because professional drift cars now are closer to like IMSA, prototype, full-blown professional road race cars than they are the stock car that they started out with. And most people's interpretation, it's a drift car. It's got a lot of power and a handbrake.
Yeah.
But they're far from that. Pro drift cars are far from that now. So it's still an LS engine, but I like to say there's nothing left GM other than the oil pan gasket. Like, there is nothing. The block, the head, the crankshaft, every single thing is aftermarket nowadays.
That's sick.
It does 1,150 horsepower to the rear wheels.
So 1150.
Yeah.
I was wrong on 1,000.
Yeah.
1150.
Well, the 1,000 number used to be like, dude, that thing makes 1,000 horsepower. Holy shit, that's crazy. No, that's like street cars have that nowadays, you know? So it's a Vortec supercharger. And the reason why it makes more than 1,000 now is because Vortec came out with a new supercharger last year, and we put it on, turned up the boost, has nitrous at the same time. And it's so crazy to drive that if you put it in any gear and you roll on the throttle, it goes straight to rev limiter.
No way.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
That fast.
Limiter. It's the most fun thing to drive, but also completely terrifying.
What size tires do you need on the goddamn Vet in the back?
Yeah,
It's a grip
do
on
it.
this
I
thing.
know.
Because already a stock Vet, like one of my buddies has one, the tires are already
Yeah,
bright as shit.
and it blows them away, right?
So yours has got to be even custom tires, right, on this thing?
So with drifting, we have to use a DOT approved tire. So that's the thing. Like in pro drifting in the US, you have to be able to buy the same tire that I use on my car. That's kind of part of the rules.
Okay.
Which makes the tire companies invest in tire technology that is good for everybody. So it's a 295/40. So it's wide, it's 11 and a half inches wide or something, but the compound is what's super important. It's funny because I think a lot of people have this interpretation, like the bigger the tire, the better.
That's what I thought.
Right. What if it's a shitty tire?
You're
it
fucked.
doesn't matter,
There's
right?
no grip anyways on the fucking
there's
thing.
no grip.
No matter how wide it is,
Yeah.
it's trash.
And
that makes sense.
In
The
the pro
compound
drifting
is
world, depending on how much your car weighs, allows you to run a width tire. So a heavier car can run a wider tire, lighter car, narrower tire.
Okay, that makes more sense
Yeah.
then. That makes more sense. Dude, that's so sick. So then if you're going to be, out here, Jeremy, I heard you guys saying, you won last year? Is that
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's my first time winning Long Beach last year, and I feel like Long Beach is the hardest track to win because it's the first round. So you have to have your shit together. The team's got to be on point, the car, the driver, the kit, everything needs to be 10 out of 10.
Yep.
Because some people take 2 or 3 rounds to get used to the car, and then by round 4 or 5 they're contending for a win. But man, it's hard to come right out swinging, real hard.
Dude, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. And then that's so crazy. How do we one day I need to get a ride in this thing.
Dude, yeah.
So bad. Even if I have to fly out to you out there.
We need to set something up because
fly
we've been
out.
talking about you shooting a gun. We'll take the roof off the Vet.
Out of the Vet.
Yes,
Doing
yes,
donuts, doing
yes.
donuts, dude.
We
It'd
need
be-
to make it happen.
It'd be absolutely insane.
We need to do it for a new, one of your new product launches or a new marker, something specific, something
have to.
big.
Yeah, we
need to
do
make it
something
happen.
sick. I'll come out to you. And then
Hell
we'll play
yeah.
some Paintball. Speaking of paintball too, so can you tell everyone how you got into it again? And then I can't believe you play. So he skates, he plays paintball, he drifts, he does it all, boys.
Too many hobbies. I told you,
He's
too many
got
hobbies.
Too many hobbies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to come out there and then we'll go play.
We'll play. Hell yeah.
And then do
We'll
some-
go out to the track. We'll
Yeah,
set
do
some
a whole
stuff up.
thing.
It might even make sense for me to come down here because one of the best tracks in California for testing and having a good time is Willow Springs.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Right? You shoot at Willow Springs. You guys go out there.
Yeah.
It's so close to you. And we can kind of have, I'm not going to say free reign, but if we talk to them about setting something up and we get the insurance and check all the boxes, they would be down.
Let's
and then
go.
you can do some donuts in one of my
There we go.
cars, right? We can make a day out of it for
That'd be
sure.
absolutely insane.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
absolutely insane, dude.
You're gonna get addicted though. I could tell.
Yeah.
You're gonna get addicted. I need a vet. You need more hobbies like a hole in the head too. I'm sure. Yeah.
That's the problem. When I first played paintball, I went for a birthday, was getting shot at, the adrenaline was going. I'm like, dude, this is sick. And then I got hooked on it. And then now I don't.
How old were you?
14.
Whoa.
And then now, because we're running the business, we're doing all this stuff. I don't get to play as much as I used to, just because everything going on. But that's what I'm saying.
I know you spend more time shooting things in the alley than you did.
But you know, we get in the vet and feel some real power.
Yeah.
I might get excited about something else.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be sick.
So for me, I was 13 or 14, getting dropped off at the paintball field by my mom.
Yeah.
And I started because the same guy who actually showed me drifting, Ton, he was like, "Oh, we should play paintball." And I just, whatever he was doing, I was like, that's the cool thing that he's doing, you know? And we got a gun. I mean, I saved up everything for a Spider, and then I sold that, and you're on the PB Nation, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that what it was?
Yeah,
PB
we
Nation?
had that Agronaut forum, so like everyone was in our little ag thread. We had like the biggest followers within the PB Nation
Oh
forum.
my God, yeah. So I was all over PB Nation, wheeling and dealing, trying not to get scammed. Those are early days of PayPal when everyone was getting scammed left and right. Yeah. Right, legit check. You had to do a legit check on every single person.
That was on PB Nation. Dude, that's so funny.
I'm telling you, man.
I can't believe it.
I probably my name's out there in the freaking ether somewhere, right?
Dude,
my
so
screen
funny.
name out there.
Yeah, 100%.
And then I got myself a Bushmaster, and it was just so much fun because it was one of those times I would either go to the skate park and you're on your own away from your parents, or you're at the paintball field.
Yep.
And those times, to me, I feel like it's important for these kids, you know? If you need to be on your own 13, 14 years old and realize like you are responsible for yourself. You are responsible for not getting hurt. You are like, you're not going to just bring your gear. Mom, help me. Like I had to take care of my stuff. It really taught me, I think, a little bit of discipline and to like I worked for my stuff. I took care of my stuff. And I think that kind of with paintballing, skateboarding, everything was kind of like my parents supported me. They would take me anywhere I needed to go, but it was also, this is your hobby. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I had some of the best times of my life at the paintball field for sure. But like anything, I was juggling car stuff, doing a little bit of racing stuff with my dad, playing paintball, skateboarding. I had a lot of hobbies and I wasn't quite sure. I wasn't all that good at paintball. I could tell. Sometimes what things you're good at. I'm real good at driving a car. I'm not that good at paintball. Yeah.
That's why he went professional driver, not professional paintball.
Yeah, exactly. Something told me early on, that was the right choice.
Yeah, definitely.
And I kind of gave up paintball to spend money on cars. I sold all my markers, sold all my gear. On PB Nation, for sure. Yeah. I didn't scam anybody. I still have the same PayPal as back in the day, you know? I see that's another thing, like a 14-year-old kid. I had a PayPal and a bank account.
You're selling stuff, trading stuff.
Yeah, I feel like it's important.
Good. I lived on those forums, trading and selling,
all day.
Trying to get rid of this gun to buy the next gun.
Yep,
It was huge. It was a huge part of our life.
It was. And I feel like it taught me things that I've carried over into my business, into my marketing program, all those little things that have transitioned over to this. But I figured early on, like, all right, once I saw drifting in front of me, I was like, that's the thing for me. And I dumped everything into it. I had street bikes, sold the street bikes, skateboards, everything that wasn't drifting related, I sold to go drifting.
That's sick.
I remember my first year when I went pro and I needed to get my stuff to the East Coast. I had kind of a shitty R6 that was my like daily, because I had my drift car and my motorcycle, and that was it. I was on a borrowed truck, borrowed trailer, borrowed tools, borrowed everything, right? And I had to get my car on a hauler to go bring it to the East Coast because I couldn't even afford the fuel to go out to the East Coast. It was cheaper to like shove it in somebody's trailer.
Yeah.
And I had to sell my motorcycle to put my drift car in that trailer, and I was like, got no car, got no motorcycle, but my shit's on a hauler to go to the East Coast, and I'll meet it there in a couple of weeks. Like it was everything, all in. Yep.
All in on that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And I didn't even know how I was going to get to the next round, but it was just like, if it's there, I'll find a way.
Dude, that is so awesome. That's kind of how we were too, because when we first started playing paintball, we were young, whatever. We our whole team slept in a U-Haul.
Yeah,
we just didn't have enough money, and like, we weren't asking our parents for anything. Like my family didn't have a lot of money when I grew up or whatever, and we were all kind of like young, hustling little kids. We're like, dude, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
We're like, we don't have enough for the nice room. We're going to rent a U-Haul. We're going to drive back and forth to the field, and we're going to sleep in the back of the damn thing.
I love it.
Like whatever it took at that moment to play paintball, because that's just what we love. So kind of like the same.
Yep. And was that in a time where you were like playing tournaments, or that was just like practicing daily? That's what it took.
So like there was a tournament in like Denver, like MPPL back in the day, and we're like, dude, the flights are too expensive.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, what are we gonna do? And then we're like, just at the time, it was just all a lot. We have entry fee to pay for, paint. We weren't really sponsored then, so it was like it all added up. We're like, fuck it, we're getting a U-Haul. We're driving out, and we're sleeping in this bitch, and we did, and we did really good at the event. We made it back. And now thinking back of it, it was like one of the best times.
Oh,
it
for sure.
Such a good story.
You cannot replace those moments because it can never happen again.
No.
It would never happen.
No, now we're in these nice hotels, this and that. I'm like, dude, I think back, I'm like, dude, that was so fun.
Yeah, but that's what you need. That's grit.
Yeah,
that's what it takes to wake up every day. And that's why even when you have become to a spot where you're like, I'm happy, the wheels are turning, it's a well-oiled machine, but you still want more. You still want to be pushing to get it better because it's those gritty times. Yeah. No sleep, no money.
Nope.
Can't eat.
We probably, when we were going out, I probably had like $60 on me. Like,
yeah.
That's literally all of us. We're like, shit, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do? Yeah. Man, one of my earliest memories of like, all right, you need to push yourself to make your life better. I went to a track day at Buttonwillow, right? Kind of the midpoint between Northern California, Southern California. And I was hanging out with my rich Chinese friends. They're ballers. Baller. But they were drivers. They did like grip day stuff. And they would tell me, "How Matt, come with us and you can drive our car." And I was like, all right, cool. That sounds fun. And I went out there and was having kind of a good time and driving their cars. And it was a great day. Didn't cost me any money. I just got to drive their cars. And this was like probably my second year of doing pro drifting. So I didn't have any money, nothing.
Yeah.
And then they're driving back, Harris Ranch on 5, right? I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
They stopped out. They're like, we're going to go to the steakhouse. And I'm like, oh God, I probably have $50 in my bank account. Yeah, I can't afford that. And they're like, oh, it's cool, Matt. We'll take care of you. And I told myself, and I told them, I'm like, no, I'm going to get what I can afford on this menu. Probably like side mac and cheese or whatever it was, right? Bread and mac and cheese is probably all I can afford to get. And it's still $25. Wiped half of my savings out. But I told it because they were like, we'll buy you steak. Doesn't matter. We'll buy it. And I'm like, no, I want to be hungry because I want to remember this moment that I don't ever want to be in this position again. Like, this fucking sucks. Then we fast forward like 3 years later. We came down to Long Beach Grand Prix, did pretty good. The next weekend, they have the Super Drift Shootout where it's like a demo during the Grand Prix. Just a demo, but $10,000 prize or something like that. Maybe it was $5,000. And we ended up winning. So I got $5,000, and me and my whole team stopped by Harris Ranch on the way home, bought everyone whatever they want, the most expensive steaks, didn't even matter. And it was just like this, 4-year difference is kind of what it took. And that, I told the story to those guys. I was just like, this feels so fucking good to be. You guys are enjoying the steak, but you have no idea how good this steak tastes to me right now.
Yeah, last time I was here, it was horrible.
Mac and cheese side.
Dude, that's an epic story, dude.
Thank you, man.
Speaking of that too, like, so like when you won last year, you win this race. What's so in paintball? Obviously, if you win, there's like these prizes. It's not huge. These guys really do it for the love of the game. Even at the pro level, I mean, they get like some of the owners. There's some really wealthy owners that pay them a nice salary, but the winnings really aren't really huge in paintball just because it's not on TV anymore. It's not really mainstream. You're shooting at each other, so a lot of sponsors don't like it when you're shooting something at someone. So these guys are really out there doing their thing, hustling to make a living. But for you and the drifting, what does the prizes look like? Like if you were to win this event here?
So they actually just raised the per event win to $10,000. It was $5,000, which is. It's kind of a joke. $5,000 to win the whole event.
Yeah, right.
When like my hotel bill for the weekend is like $10,000 for the team.
Yeah.
So it was never about the winnings.
Of course.
To win the championship, it was $20,000, but they raised everything. It's $10,000 per race win, and then that's like they pay out till top 16 or something like that. So everyone gets something as long as you win one battle, you kind of get paid out.
Yeah.
And then the championship's $50,000 to win. That's a big number.
That's solid.
Yeah, that's solid for sure.
Oh yeah.
But the way that any of us survive is off sponsorship.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's it. And I'm very fortunate that 3 years ago, I hired a manager. And before I was doing everything on my own, all my social media, every email, every phone call, every single thing. I was working on the car myself. Luckily at that point, I at least had somebody to drive my rig around.
Yeah, you driving the truck.
Yeah, I did before early days,
Yeah, overloaded.
But I was still doing all the social media, all the posts, trying to edit videos, like filming YouTube stuff, trying just everything, editing that, getting it up. And once I hired my manager, Brandon, my life changed. Because now I don't feel guilty not being on my phone and not posting on social media because I know somebody's got my back.
Yeah.
I just upload the content. Anything that I take, I upload it to a shared folder. He gets the notification that it's there. Him and another girl, like I have a team now, and they make the reels. They do stuff for Facebook, stuff for YouTube. There's people in place, and that has really changed the game because I have people coming up to me like, man, your social media has improved so much. And I'm like, if anything, my life is so much better because I'm not the one doing it.
Nice.
I comment, I reply, but I'm not editing the videos and I'm not scheduling the posts and I'm not making sure, like they'll tell me, hey, we need to make sure we shoot a video for Lucas Oil. We need to get it up this week. I'm like, oh, absolutely. I'll knock that out. Right. So having that team has changed my life because now I can enjoy social media. I feel like so many people put so much focus on it that they forget that it was kind of meant to enjoy it and see what your friends are doing and engage.
Yeah.
And then it's just turned into this business.
Yeah.
And now I'm back to engaging and having a good time. And like, I like consuming Instagram.
Yep.
But I would like not even want to open it because I knew I'm like, if I open it, I got to do a post. And it's like this dark cloud looming over you because I should be working on my car. I should be writing these emails, but I'm like, yeah. But nowadays I get to enjoy videos and I know that the wheels are turning and it's helped because now we have Borla as a title sponsor.
Yep, I see that. The car's all wrapped in the Borla.
Huge Borla, yep.
Sick.
And I'm super happy to say we did a contract extension at the beginning of this year, and they're going to be the title sponsor until 2026.
Sick.
So a multi-year deal in drifting is kind of not common, only for the big dogs. And it's kind of like we're in this place where like we're becoming one of those big dogs where we have these multi-year deals with these partners that are seeing the sustainability and seeing the value in our program. And it's mind blowing to me because that's how I eat. That's how I pay my mortgage. That's how I pay my guys. That's how the shop stays open.
That's got to feel good too, especially just kind of coming from the bottom like you did and working your way up to now here with the multi-sponsorship deals like this.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
You're on your way. You're
Thank
killing
you.
it. You're
Thank
killing
you.
it.
And I see you are huge in the community, giving back. I actually just got we want to sponsor you. Let us know what you need on your team jersey. Like I got that email, right?
Nice.
Yeah, I'm on the chain there.
Yeah.
So I think that's great what you guys are doing because the paintball world needs it. Like you said, these guys who are the best in the world are doing it because they love it. There's probably a handful of guys that are making a living on it. Is that right?
There is. I mean, there's probably, I could think of probably 20 plus guys that are doing really pretty good.
But what I've seen, those top guys, that's not the only thing that they do. They're coaching, they're private lessons.
That's what I'm saying.
They don't just play 8 tournaments a year and that's it.
They're selling their guns.
Yeah.
They're coaching teams. Like one of the guys, Ryan Greenspan, was coaching 8 teams. He's getting, I'm not going to say what he's getting, but he's getting a good amount.
Right.
8 teams. And he's only there for 2 days. I mean, he cashed in. So they're really good at using what they have, like with their tentacles right here, and taking advantage of everything. That's what these paintballers are really good at.
They deserve it, though.
Yeah, they do.
How long has Ryan been playing? 30 years or something like that?
He's like 42.
Yeah.
Older than me. And he's still going. I just posted something because Kenny just did a post as we're talking because we have our whole team built out now, which I was doing everything, but now luckily we have Danny and Kenny and all these other guys to help out, and we really made it so much more professional and better. But I just posted because Kenny did a little thing on Ryan. I'm like, who's gonna retire first, Kenny or Ryan Greenspan or LeBron James?
Yeah,
they're like the same age.
Yeah, dang.
That's funny.
He probably will never retire though. He's always gonna play.
He's still good.
Yeah.
He's still, I mean, they just won the last event.
Isn't that crazy?
He's 42 and his reflexes are still good like he's 18. It's insane, dude. He's still got it.
In the drifting world, especially the Japanese guys, because they're the people who started the sport of drifting, right?
Yeah.
The older the Japanese guy, the better they are.
Really?
It's crazy. And I think it's because drifting, I feel like paintball, is very situational.
Yeah.
You make a decision based off of past experiences.
Yeah.
You don't make a decision just off of what you see in front of your face. It's like you learn how to read people. You know how to, in drifting, you learn how to read what the car is doing, the conditions of the track, and all that happens from experiences. Yeah. And then the decision that you make, which is split second, is usually the right decision if you've been in that circumstance before. And just because a driver is extremely talented, but they're young and they don't have that much experience, chances are the experience is usually going to reign.
That makes sense. I mean, and that's why Dynasty is so good too, from the experience. These guys are all older, but they've been through every single situation 1,000 times.
Yep.
So when it's a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-1, they already know exactly what to do and exactly where to go. So exactly what you just said.
Yep.
Speaking of that too, crashes. There's got to be crashes all the time in this, right?
Yeah, it's part of it for sure.
Have you had a bad crash or anything?
Dude, Long Beach is kind of notoriously not the nicest to me.
Really?
Yeah. Two years ago, I had a big one.
Oh, really?
Which pretty much wiped out the front of my car. Like the chassis should have been thrown away.
Wow.
And I kind of got put in a bad situation. I was Long Beach, and then the next weekend I was getting married. Oh. And I was like, all right, just get through Long Beach. Like the focus is getting married, but we're going to do our absolute best at Long Beach, right? I find myself in the finals. I'm like, all right, we're freaking going for it, basically. And then, or it was the semifinals. We're going for it, and then I get bumped from behind, and I go into the wall. So I got pushed into the wall, which meant that we were kind of going to be going into the finals because it wasn't my fault.
Yep.
But the car was way too tore up to even think about making it back to battle. And we finished second. It was great. But then I'm looking at this car that it's like going to have hundreds of hours worth of work that needs to go back into it. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting married next weekend. So that means that starting Wednesday through Friday, then, you start working, and then I'm going on my honeymoon directly after. There's a week of that. And then the next race is in this many weeks. And I'm like looking at my car, and these numbers are going through my head right then and there, So it was like very bittersweet. We got on the podium, get to drink the champagne, but you're like, oh man, my car is wrecked.
Yeah.
Then fast forward the next year, last year, we are semifinals again. Same driver, something else happened.
No way.
Yeah. It wasn't, this time it wasn't his fault.
Okay.
It was just a situation that happened.
Yeah.
But we ended up, the crash wasn't so bad. We were able to put a new front end on the car because we learned. So we built the car differently.
Yep.
Got the car back together, went to the finals, took it home.
Sick.
So Long Beach has been good and bad and like all the things. So
you got to be excited coming into this one then.
it's my favorite round.
Yeah.
I love it. I love Long Beach. I love the atmosphere. I love the track. It's dangerous. It's fast. It's gnarly. The people are great. I love the fact that it's the start of the season, and I love that it's hard to win here.
Got it. Yeah. And then last thing before I'm going to let you go. So like, in some other racing platforms that I see, they have multiple cars. And drift usually don't need that. Yeah. Because the crashes usually aren't so bad where you can kind of fix it and get it going.
Right.
Just based off what you're doing. You're not going 250 miles an hour straight at a wall. So it's like.
Exactly.
Yeah. So no one really has multiple cars like that.
They don't really allow a spare car either.
Oh, you can't even do it. Okay.
Once you turn your first practice lap, that's the car you're locked into.
Oh, okay.
There's a rule. So like even if your car blows up on the second lap, you can't just go get your homie's car or something like that.
Okay.
So that's why the spare car doesn't really fit in.
Yeah.
But after the big crash in Long Beach, we kind of like, all right, we're going to have a spare chassis back home. So yeah, that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to continue on that weekend.
Yeah.
But going into the next weekend, you can put all the parts onto the new chassis and continue to fight. So because these races get closer and closer together, and from the first race to the second race, it's like a 3-week gap. It's not bad.
Yeah, dude. So if your car's torn up,
But
you got to
3
throw
weeks
this thing
goes
in.
by,
You don't
yeah.
get much time to practice and
Exactly.
do it.
But when we go to the East Coast, they're every other weekend.
wow.
Sometimes we only have a week in between, and you're traveling, all the way up the U.S. So it's quite the tour for sure.
How long is your like total like when the season starts? Like paintball is like however many months in a row, and then there's like a 3-month break, and then it starts again. Do you get a little break?
Yeah, something similar. So we start in April, we finish in October.
Okay.
But nowadays, the program extends much further than that because it's not just the 8 rounds of Formula Drift. It's funny when you look at the actual schedule, I have, Formula Drift is this many rounds, and then the demos that we do is like double.
Yeah.
Because any weekend that we're not doing Formula Drift, we're out here giving ride-alongs, we're doing Fuel Fest, we're doing these grid lives, because those are actually what ends up kind of paying the bills, because you can do ride-alongs, like people pay for ride-alongs in drift cars now. We're finally at a place where people see value in riding with the cars, where before it was like, hey bro, give me a ride. But now these organizations are selling ride-alongs for people to actually get the experience, which is great because I would rather share the experience with more people, and then it makes it sustainable for the drivers.
Yeah.
These drivers who are normally spending thousands of dollars to just have fun are now able to cover their costs at least and continue drifting. So it's really cool. But it used to end in October, and now it pretty much goes till the end of December.
Yeah, you're grinding then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what's the paintball season?
It is what? Do you know the month to month, Danny? It's from
The last event, whatever month that was,
March,
till October.
October to
No, it was
November.
Into November.
Yeah, but also like we have these big games, and then we have these street ball events.
I see the street ball event.
So
What's
it's
the details?
Pretty much we're like year round.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
the street balls are like really fun days. We'll get like our pro friends, like guys from Dynasty, Houston Heat, and like myself, and we'll all come out together and play like a fun day. We're like these kids normally don't get to play against the pros. You get to play side by side with us. We're doing giveaways, raffles, tons of guns. It's just a really, really fun day. It was like kind of how when we started playing before it was like tournaments, we would just have these fun days with our friends, and which are now, like all now pro players, and we kind of just wanted to bring that experience back to all these new kids and players.
Yeah.
Every time we do it, they have an absolute blast. You're side by side this pro guy that you never thought you were going to be playing with.
That's epic.
And we make these videos. The field loves it because we bring a bunch of people to the field. So it's just like a really fun day. You should come to one. It's like
I want
perfect
to,
because like it's a good mix of like, there's kids who are just starting, there's pros, there's intermediate, but then we split everything up, and then it's just an awesome like fun battle.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I think that'd be perfect for you.
Is Southern California like the hub for professional paintball players?
It was like the mecca for like all the pro, like Dynasty was out here like every weekend. We were out here. Team Ironman were out here. Just like all like the big paintball pros started like kind of out here. But Dynasty, like Ryan and them all grew up in NorCal.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
But they would always drive down here because this is where all the action was. at that time. So.
Are the larger paintball companies here now, or is it spread out nowadays?
Like Die Paintball, which is a big one. They're in San Diego, so really close. And then we're right here. And then like GI, which is Empire, JT, they kind of bought everyone. They're from Canada, so they had a hedge fund come in and kind of like gobble up a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Hey, but at least that's happening in paintball. I know it's kind of like seen as a negative thing, and it happens in the racing world too. Yeah. It's like, all right, this guy's the best people at making pistons. They're the best, and they get bought by an investment company, and then you never know is the quality going to go up? Is it going to go down? But I feel overall it's needed because maybe those are the companies that wouldn't have survived.
Yeah, exactly. No, we're not worried about it. We're thriving over here. We're doing good and growing. So we're just stoked that paintball in general is we're seeing is growing and on the up and up again. Because for a little bit back in the day, it kind of had a little downward spiral, but all that we're seeing here is just growth. So we're stoked. Yeah.
And is it all live streamed, like the professional tournaments live streamed? Because it used to be on actual TV, right? But everyone is kind of getting away from TV anyways and going towards live streaming. Is that same?
Yeah, it was on ESPN for a little bit when it was 7-man. When it was, I don't know if did you ever play or see the?
I watched tournaments for sure. Definitely never played, but I watched.
What was on ESPN was 7-man paintball. So it was just as fast as you could pull the trigger, you could shoot. It was 7-on-7, 7-minute games that used to be in Huntington Beach. Right, that's
where the guns were advertised 50 balls per second. It was like the war of balls per second.
If you had fast trigger fingers back then, like one of our buddies could shoot literally 3 times faster than me. You'd think you have full auto, but that was just how fast his fingers were. So it would really help you. That was on ESPN, but now it's this 5-on-5 X ball, where kind of how you shot that gun outside. As soon as you get to 3 balls per second, thing kind of takes off in full auto almost. It's called ramping. But
oh, really? Yeah, Formula Drift just made a deal with that.
Yeah, so then NXL, which is the pro league, just made a deal with this caffeine sports company, and then we pulled it up, and then we saw that the Formula Drift's on there.
Do you guys know about that? I didn't even know that there was going to be a deal, which probably means it was kind of a last minute deal for Formula Drift to find a place like that. But have you guys heard of them either?
No, I didn't even know who they were. And then now Play the Game podcast, Tyler Harmon and our buddies Marcelo just posted with Tom McCall that the NXL linked a deal with Caffeine Sports.
That's awesome.
Hey, if you're on there, paintball's on there. I mean, whatever. We'll promote it, I guess.
It's good.
Yeah, get more eyes on paintball. We're stoked. So
do you think that paintball is taking a turn up? As of the last years?
At all events, there's been more players than ever for tournament stuff. What we're seeing for like the walk-on scenario player, we're getting more and more. We're selling more and more stuff than ever of that equipment. So we're seeing like a really good turnaround here, and it's really moving. Yeah, I'm stoked. For a second there, we were worried that paintball was going down. This is years ago, but no, it's been good. It's been good. Yeah.
I mean, I got back into it. Yeah. I was fully blown in.
What we see too a lot is like players that played like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. They're like, we're back, and I need a full kit.
Yeah, need everything. And those are the people like me who buy everything, the full HK kit. I'm like, what's the best pants? What's the best jersey? What's the best? I'm buying all of the best shit nowadays.
Well, look at our Shopify. We're like, what? $10,000 order. Who is that? And then the kid's like, hey, I just ordered. I haven't played in 15 years. I'm like, dude, what's up?
I love it. Yeah, for me, it was I was getting tattooed by my buddy Ton, who kind of introduced me to the world of drifting and paintball back then. I was getting this done, and him and I were just talking and having a good time because I went the pro drifter route, and he has his own tattoo studio. He's killing it, absolutely killing it. Ink Vested, Ton, shout out to you.
Let's go.
And we're just laying, and this stuff takes a lot of time, so we had a lot to talk about, and we just were reminiscing on how fun playing and going to the field was. And then we were like, let's look up this. And I was like, let me hit up one of my boys. I see that he plays, and he's a race car driver, but he also plays paintball. I'll see what he's got for sale. We kind of got some old equipment and had him send it over to us, bought a couple of guns and a couple of packs and everything. Then we got all the stuff. We played once. And then after that, we're like, we need better shit. Like, no reason. We still suck, but it was like the first time. Because then when you're into cars and he's into tattooing and cars and, running your own business is expensive. So when you kind of look at the prices of paintball guns and the gear and everything, I'm not going to say it's cheap, but it's affordable compared to a race engine.
Oh, yeah.
It's real affordable compared to a race engine.
Nothing compared to a race
engine. So I'm like, man, I got some money just sitting in my PayPal. Like, I'm going to buy some stuff. So we bought markers, we bought all the gear, everything. And then that's when I kind of stumbled across your stuff on A&S Gear, probably. Yeah. They got really good Google SEO,
A&S Gear is the best. They're the biggest online
retailer.
If you
Google anything paintball, like,
they're number one.
Google SEO, man.
They're number one. We love them. They've supported us since we started. So shout out A&S, Pete, all the owners over there. They are the biggest and the best in the business.
The best. It's so impressive. Like, quick speed of shipping, communication, like how the interface is. Yeah, the best for sure.
They sell skateboarding stuff too.
Really? Is that where they started? It was always paintball.
It was kind of they bought an old skate shop. It used to be like a whole thing, and they kind of merged it into one because they sell online and stuff like that. But
That's
they
awesome.
do sell skating stuff. But yeah, they're the biggest in paintball. Yeah.
Yeah, and once we got everything, I played every weekend for like the entire off season, and it kind of has to be that way. Like, all right, we're starting to focus on car stuff. All the weekends I'm going to be spending at the racetrack or prepping or something. So kind of time out of that. But I feel like for me, paintballing season is during my off season where it's kind of cold, a little bit rainy, which is way more fun to play than in the middle of freaking July.
The worst when it's hot.
Yeah.
100 degrees.
Yeah.
I was in Atlanta once. I played at 114 degrees. I played one game and said, I'm done.
But and then the pros have to play tournaments in that, right?
It's tough, dude. It's tough. Yeah, because you're all geared up. You have beanies on, goggles on, everything.
Murder.
Yeah.
I bet it's murder.
I'm sure same in the car, though, if it's hot.
We're a little bit spoiled.
Yeah.
Now there's something called a cool shirt. And
Oh,
it's
so you're
basically
going
like, oh yeah, it's a little cooler where you fill it with ice and water, and then we wear a shirt that's got like tubes sewn into it.
So it keeps you cool.
Plug into it. I mean, it's still brutal.
Yeah.
We go to Orlando, Florida.
Woo!
It is terrible
That's
out
where we
there.
have that
It is
itself. Oh,
sticky
it's
and
horrible.
nasty, and even if you have the cool shirt on, you're still dying in the car. But I mean, it's different. We're sitting there with our cool shirts on. I mean, those boys are out there playing in the heat. Yeah.
Dude, hell yeah. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming so much.
Thank you, guys.
I know you have a big race going on tomorrow, so I'm gonna let you get out of here. But thank you so much for coming. I 100%. Let's play paintball.
Yep,
And do
let's
something
do it.
with the cars. You guys are gonna see this in the future for sure, dude.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen, dude.
Hell
Matt,
yeah.
thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me. I've looked at this company as the best in paintball for a long time now, and I'm just pumped that I was able to join this. Thank
Dude,
you guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Let's
Hell
go,
yeah.
baby.